Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now before we do, just to let you know we're covering the OhNoConsequences subreddit where people are genuinely shocked by the consequences of their own words and actions. With the first story being titled, Am I the Arsehole for bringing my girlfriend on a date to my daughter's workplace? I, 51 male, have been dating my girlfriend Millie for just over 6 months. My wife died 4 years ago and this is my longest relationship since. However, my daughter Bianca, 21 female, disapproves. She has a lot of issues with me and Millie, but the main ones are the way we met, through a website, and that I moved Millie into our house fairly quickly after 3 months. In my defense, losing my wife much earlier than I had ever imagined really taught me to seize and enjoy each moment, and it just felt right to both of us to have Millie there with me permanently. 2 months ago, Bianca and Millie got into a dispute over our spare room, which Bianca uses as a music space, but Millie wanted to convert it into a shooting space for social media, which is her job. I took Millie's side since she's going to be here longer term, so Bianca sped up her plans to move out in the next week, and asked that I warn her if Millie's going to be present at any event or visit. Anyway, last week I thought it'd be nice to treat Millie for her birthday, and she asked for a shopping trip and dinner out, which I was happy to do. The issue is she specifically asked to go to a restaurant where Bianca works as a waitress, since it's known as one of the most exclusive and classy places in our town. I knew Bianca was working that day but figured it'd be alright since it's a large restaurant and a special occasion. When we arrived we were given another server, so I thought everything was okay. About 15 minutes later Bianca walked out from the kitchen and immediately saw us sitting there, then walked straight back out without even saying hi. She kept passing the table and silently glaring daggers at Millie, which was just unnecessary when Millie tried to be polite. Millie then asked Bianca for the bill because she was the nearest waitress, and Bianca slapped it down on the table wordlessly and sent another waitress to see us out. Later, I called her and asked why she behaved like a child. Bianca said that me and Millie had been deliberately flirting to upset her, which is untrue. The most that happened was a couple of kisses and a bit of footsie/giggling. Bianca also claimed that when I briefly left to use the toilet, Millie called her over and told her to not contact me for the next few days as we'd be too busy engaging in private activities. I find it hard to believe Bianca because Millie has made an effort to bond with her through organizing girly activities among other things, while Bianca has a history of manipulating others to get her way. Bianca then told me that she wants no contact with Millie or with me, apart from at family gatherings. My family is split over the issue. My ex's wife's sister called to cuss me out for neglecting Bianca, who is still grieving her mother. Am I the arsehole? I understand that Bianca and Millie have their issues and Bianca misses her mother, but Bianca was at work and I think she should have been more professional. So we have the daughter actually coming into the post and say, Hey everyone, this is Bianca talking. After I saw the Twitter thread made with Dad's post and my roommate encouraged me to make an account to at least try to defend myself. I hope at least some of you hear me out, and thank you for the very kind Twitter peeps who are looking out for me. Appreciate it guys, and I'm fine. What my dad says has grains of truth, but is so far from the full story it's basically bullshit. My mum did die when I was 17, and me and Dad were actually very close. We started dating again a couple of years after she died, and I was always very supportive until Millie came along. Regardless of what Dad says, me and Millie had an emotional relationship lasting several months, which ended in a massive bust up and us losing contact, and he was aware of this when I told him I recognized her. He brushed it aside and told me that I would get used to it and we would be introduced gradually. I was stupid and believed this shit. He moved her into the house without asking me. While I was visiting Mum's family for the week, she did not try to bond with me. She used our shopping days and trips as an excuse to get money off of Dad for herself. She cried and begged Dad until he got rid of my music room, and he fell for it. I asked them not to be intimate when I was around because I was uncomfortable. They ignored me. Millie and Dad have since tried to contact me regularly and have shown up in unexpected places. They showed up at my church. They have apparently visited my work and asked my friends if I'm there. They've even tried messaging me to ask when I'm visiting Mum's grave and I want them to join. They are despicable people who deserve to be cut off. I'd love to hear Dad's explanation of why I'm manipulative. Until then, thank you so much to everyone looking out for me again, and just don't believe any of the crap in this thread, other than the shit about liking young women. That's probably true. So there was another post from the dad in this. It was, am I the arsehole for bringing my fiancé to my daughter's wedding? And it was recovered from the Am I the Devil subreddit. And it says, I, 52 male, have a daughter, Bianca, 23 female, who got married last week to her wife, Efru, 24 female. They had been dating just under a year and decided to have an intimate wedding with me and about 20 other guests. Bianca does not get along with my fiancée, Millie, 29 female. Bianca has no contact at all with Millie, refuses to come to our house, and has been quite low contact with me for the last year or so because of an argument she had with Millie. As expected, Bianca did not invite Millie to the wedding, but invited me as a guest. Millie said she did not mind if I went without her, which I thought was very gracious in the face of rudeness. However, we recently found out that Millie is a few weeks pregnant with our first child, and she has been anxious and having panic attacks all the way through her pregnancy. The morning of the wedding, I found Millie crying on the sofa and literally shaking. I asked what was wrong, and she said she felt very panicky and unsafe alone. I offered to stay home since she was so ill, and I was worried about her, but she insisted I go to the wedding. I was too concerned to go without her, so I messaged Efru and informed her of the situation and that Millie would be coming with me in case she had a medical emergency while I was away. Efru did not respond until already dressed up and halfway to the venue. Efru told us that Millie was not to set foot at the wedding, but at that point I had no other option and wanted to be there for Bianca. It did not go well. Bianca did not speak to me the whole way through the wedding and kept giving ugly looks to Millie. At the reception, there obviously wasn't a place set for Millie, and an extra chair had to be squeezed in. I cut some food and fed her off my own plate, so I did not think it was a big deal. Efru came to me after dinner, said that Bianca was not doing a father-daughter dance with me, and gave me a list of complaints. She said she was disgusted by Millie's dress because it was red, and that Millie was wrong to introduce herself as stepmother to Bianca, and that Millie should not have mentioned her pregnancy at all. Millie only mentioned her pregnancy because she was offered a little cake, and cake makes her sick because of the pregnancy hormones. Efru told us to leave after dinner, and I agreed, so I did not upset Bianca. However, when Millie stood up, her stomach cramped and she fell over. It only made a tiny scene, but I rushed her out and we sat in another room for 20 minutes until she felt better. Efru's mother came in at that point, but I was just calming Millie down and made us get out. Since then, Efru and Millie's maternal family have been sending me angry messages about how rude we were, and Efru has told me that they want no contact for the foreseeable future. I really meant well and just wanted to make everyone happy. But am I the arsehole? So there was also another post that was found to be by the same person. It said, I, 53 male, married my long-term fiancée, now wife, Millie last week. We have a child together, 9 months female, who I will call Penny. I have an older daughter with my ex-wife, who I will call Bianca, 24 female. Millie and Bianca do not see eye to eye, and Bianca has been very low contact with me for the last few years as a result of several disagreements between the two. These stem from Millie moving into my house and taking over a room Bianca used as a music studio, and Millie taking ill at Bianca's wedding, which Bianca perceived as Millie trying to steal the spotlight. Bianca has only met her little sister 2 or 3 times and always insists on meeting her outside my house with my wife not present. After my ex-wife died, I kept her wedding ring, engagement ring and other bits of jewelry. Bianca immediately inherited some of the jewelry, and I kept other most important bits back, including the wedding and engagement rings, without telling Bianca. When Millie was pregnant with Penny, I revealed to Bianca I had her mother's engagement ring and offered it to her if she would come to the baby shower and participate in our family. She turned me down, refused to come to the shower, and has never expressed any interest in her mother's other jewelry since. I had not directly told Bianca I had her mother's wedding ring, but she also never asked. So I decided that, don't do it. Since Bianca had decided to turn down the promise of the engagement ring, she would not be too fussed about other jewelry. My ex-wife's wedding ring was very beautiful with a very distinctive stone, and I liked the symbolism of my former and future wives being connected. So I asked Millie whether she would like to use the ring. She was absolutely delighted, as she loves the ring, and agreed. So I invited Bianca to the wedding, and she eventually agreed, with the promise of not being in any family photos and not having to attend the reception. I thought this was a good compromise that would allow us to rebuild the relationship slowly. There was an argument when Millie refused to invite Bianca's wife as the wedding is in a Catholic church. But I calmed Bianca down and agreed to sit her with her grandparents and aunts at the ceremony. Millie was absolutely delighted that Bianca agreed to come, as she really wanted to start to build bridges and reconcile. Bianca attended the wedding and all went well until it came to the exchange of rings. As the rings were presented, Bianca must have recognized Millie's ring and simply stood up and walked out the church. We did not realize she had left until after the ceremony, and Millie was absolutely beside herself. It completely ruined the ceremony. She was drunk and cried the entire night. She'd become extremely depressed and does nothing but lie on the sofa. I tried to contact Bianca that night and managed to get through to her wife. She called Millie a B-word and a manipulator who stole Bianca's heirloom. This is not true. I've since been blocked by Bianca and her wife, and this has completely ruined the memory of our special day. I do plan to check on Bianca's well-being at some point, but in the meantime, was I wrong? And there was a couple of commenters on this who were below this whole thread, who said the vague bit about Bianca and Millie having had an emotional relationship before Millie met the father. Please tell me I'm not alone in wondering if this creep is engaged to his daughter's ex. Edit. Just found a comment from the father on an installment that wasn't included here. Apparently, he refuses to acknowledge Millie as his daughter's ex because women can't penetrate each other, so it doesn't actually count. I regret learning how to read. Commenter replies saying, in one of Bianca's comments on the original post from her dad, she says, "Thank you. I'm angry at Millie, but I'm angrier at Dad. She's just a teeny part of a bigger problem, and I hope she's happy. I'm over their relationship now, but oh my god, it stung when they got together. As shitty and childish as it sounds, I thought she loved me." The commenter then continues. And in another comment, someone referenced her dad dating her ex, and she just says thank you to the commenter, so yeah, Dad really buried the lead here. And still got dunked on, which is hilarious. Kind of weird to me that Bianca just kind of glosses over the whole dad's dating my ex thing, but I assume she had her reasons for not diving into that. Him dating the daughter's ex in the first place, I was just like, what the fuck? Which Bianca even told him about this, and his response was that she'd basically have to get used to it. Then he moves Millie into a home, completely ignores Bianca's boundaries, brings her to Bianca's wedding when she wasn't invited, and eventually gives Millie Bianca's dead mother's wedding ring. I was just like, you fucking buffoon. At every opportunity, Bianca just seems to be asking for the one thing, and that was just distance. Yet her dad keeps choosing Millie and then acting confused and hurt when Bianca pulls further away. And by the end, I don't think Bianca ruined his wedding at all. I think he finally discovered that there was consequences to years of disregarding his daughter's feelings, and that's absolutely it. And with the whole wedding ring thing, my jaw was just nearly on the floor. I was just like, please, you're not going to do that, are you? And he did it. He bloody did it. Bloody hell. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story from the OhNoConsequences subreddit. This one was titled, on the OhNoConsequences subreddit, "Roommate swapped out his milk that I'm not supposed to drink. I drank it and had explosive diarrhea. Now he's acting like it's my fault." But the original title was, "Am I the arsehole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me?" Me and two other guys share an apartment together, and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone's in charge of buying their own food, and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. The issue has been going on almost a year, and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have my name written on it, or my stuff finishes too quick. My gallon of milk, for example. I buy almond milk because I like the taste, but it seems to finish after a week, even though I've only drank once or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times. That's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area, so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home and R's already left for work that I notice my food's gone. My roommates also had similar problem, but not as often as I do. I'm guessing because R doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is, R buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what is his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tells us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to catch/prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded with, "So then you're the one who's been stealing." He freaking exploded. Not literally, I hope. Yeah, he admits he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he had just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kind of funny he got payback from stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me I was trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know, we're both looking to move somewhere else together because we're sick of his shit. I told some buddies what happened and a few think I was an arsehole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the arsehole? I don't have much empathy for him in this situation. It was OP's milk, clearly labeled as OP's milk. R's lactose intolerance wouldn't have been an issue if he had simply not helped himself to somebody else's food, stolen someone else's food. And the absolute audacity of then trying to get OP kicked out is probably my favorite part. Imagine having to explain that one. We need to evict him because I stole his milk and it turned out to contain milk. Cheeky bloody so-and-so. And the majority of the comments on the back of this one were basically just saying, not the arsehole in this situation at all. But what do you guys make of this situation? Maybe you think differently on the matter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, but made its way to the OhNoConsequences one from Throwaway18995 and says, "Am I the arsehole for not buying my daughter the book she wanted? My 12-year-old daughter recently got money for her birthday, given by her stepmom. She's been talking a lot about a show called Hamilton recently. So when we were passing a bookstore, I asked if she wanted anything. She said no, as she didn't really have any books in mind. So I asked if the show she was talking about, Hamilton, had a book. She didn't know. So after a bit of research, we went to see if the shop had it. Turns out it didn't, but the woman at the front desk said it was being restocked in 3 to 4 weeks. I asked my daughter if she was fine with waiting or wanted a different book, as I saw Percy Jackson on sale and heard it was similar to Harry Potter. She said she could wait. So I asked how expensive the book was, and it was expensive. If we bought it, it would use up all of her birthday money, but she said it was fine. Instead told her to just wait until November when her aunt was coming back from Britain. But she said she didn't want to wait and was fine with using her money as she didn't really want to buy anything else. But to be honest, I wasn't fine with it. Since it's so expensive, it's probably really thick, and I don't want to spend all her birthday money on a book she'll probably only spend 1 week reading because she can read 400-page stories in 3 days' time. After we left the bookstore, I told her this, and she said okay, but hasn't been talking to me much except asking when meals are ready. I honestly feel like I'm not the arsehole, as I just don't want her to waste her birthday money. And besides, her aunt can give her the book in a few months, as she's a little wealthy and enjoys spoiling the kids in the family. So, you people think I'm in the wrong. ETA, I forgot to say, we can't watch the play as I currently can't afford Disney+, and even if we could, my daughter would still want the book. ETA, the book is called Hamilton the Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't get the logic behind this one. The daughter was saying yes, she knows it will use all of her birthday money, and it's the thing that she wants to spend her birthday money on. And OP's response is no, because you'll read it too quickly. What kind of fucking logic is that? Surely the fact that this 12-year-old can go through a 400-page book in 3 days is something to encourage, not a reason not to buy her books. And one of the weirdest parts for me is that OP's the one that suggested looking for the Hamilton book in the first place. The daughter wasn't even asking for anything when they entered the shop. OP helped her find something she genuinely wanted. She was happy to spend her own money on it, and then he took that away. That's so weird. Top commenter says, "You're the arsehole. Is there anything you want?" She says, "I want this." He says, "No." Commenter quotes Opie saying, "I wasn't fine with it since it's so expensive, it's probably really thick, and I don't want to spend all her birthday money." Then says, "You aren't spending her money. She is spending her money. It's either her money or your money. If it's hers, she can spend it however she wants. If it's yours, take the money away right now so she doesn't spend it, and you can control it. Although that would make you an arsehole as well. You're the arsehole, you can't control what other people do with their things. Also, title is super misleading." One more commenter says, "You're the arsehole. I'm a single working mum, and you know the one thing I never scrimp on in my budget? Books for my 9-year-old bookworm. I will get her any book she wants because I want her to never ever lose her love of reading. If she wants a specific title, I'll look for it online for cheap if I can't find it in a store locally. I always get her the book she asks for because her wanting to read will give her more of an advantage than anything else I can give to her." And that's such a weird one for me, and I really hope that girl did get her book in the end. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next one was originally on the malicious compliance subreddit, but of course made its way to the OhNoConsequences from Abject Ad 2459. It says, "Empty my shopping bag?" Sure thing. I'm not sure if this really fits, but another story I saw reminded me of this. It was fall a few years back. I just bought my house, so wanted to decorate. I ran to the Ross that's right down the road and grabbed a cart and started shopping. Right away I noticed I was being not so subtly watched and followed by a certain employee. I did try and approach to ask a question, but when I got close they took off to another section. But as I continued to shop, I would notice they were not too far away. Well, I get to check out and load everything from the cart up, and I probably spent around $500 on better clothes and decorations. I noticed that the employee was waiting at the end of the checkout section, but I didn't think anything. After I already paid and everything, this employee tells me they've been watching me and wanted me to dump my purse out, a tiny handbag that fit a wallet and keys. I laughed and asked if they were serious considering I just bought so much stuff. They said if I didn't, they would call the cops. So I emptied it in front of the employee and security guard, and all that was in there was my wallet and keys. After I put the items back in my purse, looked at the employee and said, "Take me to the returns because I'm returning everything I bought here today." They tried to backpedal and say it wasn't needed, but I said neither was stalking a customer and accusing them of stealing. So you can either return this stuff now or I'll make a scene and go to corporate. They said that this would look bad on the store for having a massive return. I reiterated that's the consequences. They returned everything very begrudgingly, but I have yet to set foot in that store since. Absolutely don't blame OP for that at all. If you're going to follow someone around the shop, accuse them of stealing and then threaten to call the police unless they empty their bag, you better be 100% confident they've actually seen them steal something. I was loving the fact that suddenly they became more concerned about how things will look bad for the store when OP was going to return everything. Well, yeah, that's rather the point. Your actions just cost the store a $500 sale and potentially a returning customer because of the way that they were treated. OP did exactly what they asked them to do. They wanted OP to empty the bag. OP emptied the bag, followed by their shopping trolley too. And there was loads of commenters telling OP to still go to corporate to report this. Another commenter says, did the same thing once. Bought a bunch of programmable remote controls from Best Buy and spent close to $1,000. An employee followed me out to the parking lot and wrote down my license plate. I immediately went back into the store, went to the return counter, and the employee followed me. When asked for my reason for the return, I said, because this guy followed me out to my car and wrote down my license plate number. I have no idea what he's going to do with it, but I won't ever be back. Someone asked that commenter what was the response, and Opie said a huge apology, a sheepish look from my stalker, and still no future business with them. Another commenter says, once I had to buy a couple of things at a Canadian Tire. It would fit in my backpack, so I went there with my bike instead of taking the car. I started shopping and some manager comes to me. May I help you with your purchases, sir? Mind you, normal employees basically run from customers to not have to answer questions. I knew what he was doing, but I played along. Yes, I'm looking for X. He showed me where it was, asked me if I needed anything else, so I went along for each items. He then accompanied me to the register when he asked to see the contents of my bag, which was empty. He then said, I'm sorry about this, but next time, would you please leave your backpack at the door? I answered, you gave me the best service I ever had in Canadian Tire. I think I keep bringing a backpack." He was absolutely not amused. The next day there was a sign: "All backpacks or duffel bags must be left at the register before entering the store." Lol. And there were so many people sharing their own stories of that kind of thing that went on. And I've been in a few stores in the past where people will give you the side eye or, follow you around between the racks and stuff like that. And if I ever suspect someone's doing that, it makes me really uncomfortable and just not want to shop in the store, and I will immediately walk out because I bloody hate that shit. If you're going to do that kind of thing, at least do it in a way that I'm not going to spot you, right? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story from Mysterious Warthog 62. And it says, "Am I the arsehole for basically telling my boyfriend I told you so after he got himself fired from his job? Sorry if I'm all over the place. I can't think straight. My boyfriend worked remotely for a company who I won't disclose for privacy reasons. He'd always complain about how his job didn't pay enough and how there wasn't much upward mobility. The only benefit his job had was being able to work anywhere in the country, the USA, and that the co-workers were very sweet. I would tag along with him to his after-work functions, and I bonded with his co-workers over anime. Lol. Unfortunately, there is no possible way for my job to be fully remote. I would love for a remote job, but it's just not possible right now. But I do make more money than my boyfriend does, and he definitely has more work-life balance than I do. I even told him that he should have taken advantage of the work-life balance because he didn't go out or travel as much unless it was something music related. He only began traveling recently. I was happy for him until I found out that he was basically working 2 jobs at once without informing his company. That's a breach of contract between him and his employer. So for context, my boyfriend is also a musician, and he's been performing a ton with his band, who I will also not disclose for privacy reasons. He's actually been making a decent amount of money through the shows he plays, and his band has gotten some interesting offers like playing for festivals and opening for larger acts. I asked him if his company allowed him to work as a traveling musician while clocked into work. The obvious answer was no. They didn't allow that at all because they never knew he was doing that. We got into a huge fight over this. I told him that he needs to go get permission from his job before he decides to basically work 2 jobs at once. He didn't think it was a big deal as long as they didn't know. But what's worse is that I had no clue he was doing this for just under a year. This entire time he's been risking his income in such a stupid way. I tried pleading with him, but he wasn't taking anything I said seriously. So I privately asked his co-worker if she could talk some sense into him. She didn't care about what he was doing, but she must have mentioned this to other co-workers, and it resulted in him getting terminated. He lost his job, and now he's freaking out and blaming me for his own recklessness. But this is exactly what I warned him about. We got into another huge argument where he accused me of doing this on purpose, and I told him that if he would have just listened to what I told him first, then he would still be employed. He broke up with me after that comment, called me a shithead, and left. So am I the arsehole? Commodore said to OP, "He didn't get himself fired, you got him fired by telling someone in his company what was going on. I've worked many places that would happily turn a blind eye to a side gig, so as long as it wasn't with a competitor or something that would be actively damaging. They can only turn a blind eye if they have plausible deniability, which you took away. You're the arsehole." Commodore says, "You're the arsehole. Why would you tell his co-worker? You basically got him fired. His company most likely wouldn't have found out, and if music is his passion. Plus he was making good money from the music. Why would you say?" Commodore says, "Everyone sucks here. His stupid behavior led to his termination, but you set it in motion by telling his co-worker." Commodore says, "What he did was not a conflict of interest, working for a competitor. So you got him fired basically." Opie says it was a conflict of interest because it's against company policy to make any kind of income while working his previous job. You can't work 2 jobs at once. I just don't see that as fair since most people aren't able to do that. And there was a mix of everyone sucks here and you're the arsehole comments within this story, but where does this one land with you guys? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day.